Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Something I always see asked in the comments on the videos or over on Twitter or wherever is, Zach, what are the most optimal controller settings to be using? Obviously, if you're a console player, you're probably using a controller. Very few players actually use keyboard and mouse on console, and quite a few players on PC like myself also use controller as their main source of input there, just because that's where they grew up on, that's what they're the most comfortable with, whatever the case may be. And today I wanted to break down the best and the most optimal controller settings to make your gameplay the absolute smoothest, and also to give you the best advantage you can possibly get in game with certain settings here and there. So as we go over it all, if you enjoy the video at any point, or if you find it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on it. Would be seriously appreciated. And of course, if you're new to the channel or if you have not already subscribed, this is the best place to be for everything going on in COD, between news, updates, loadouts, tips. It's all right here every single day. So feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. So while we've gone over settings plenty of times in the past, we're looking at every single tab that we've got previously, right? We go over some of the keyboard and mouse settings, some of the graphic settings, some of the interface and audio settings. Today, obviously, we're just focused on the controller tab here and really going in depth on everything you want to focus on. So first up, obviously, we've got our BR button layout. Now, a lot of players will want something different here. Really, when it comes to the button layout, I don't think there is a number one best option here, because some players like to use default. They play claw, and that's just what they're used to. Personally, I've played on tactical since like BO2, and it's what I've always ran, and especially because I've got my scuff controller, COD WARZONE for a little discount, by the way. Tactical just works for me. I can use my paddles on the back to, you know, help out there, and it just is what's comfortable for me. Personally, I feel like tactical is the best in a lot of ways, especially if you're someone who likes to try and finesse with certain movement mechanics and whatnot. Tactical to me just works well because you have your circle as your melee, or your I think it's B on Xbox as your melee, and then your right stick is actually your crouch and your slide, so that makes slide canceling super easy. So personally, for that, I go for tactical. I've always left my stick layout as default. I'm not a fan of that. And also invert look, I don't know how you play on this. For flying like planes, I could get that, but I don't know how you do inverted on a controller if you're just regular gameplay. Like, that to me is just a different wavelength, right? So I don't ever mess with that. The dead zone. This is also something I see so many players talking about. I've also seen other people in videos recommend like certain dead zones. That doesn't make any sense. Every single controller is different. So your controller is going to be different than mine. My controller is going to be different than Scump's. Scump's is going to be different than, you know, TP's. Everyone is different because it just depends on how much stick drift your specific controller has. So for me, 0.12 works well. I don't have any stick drift there, but I'm also not having to, you know, move my stick a ton to gain input. Basically, the best way I found to do this is either to go in private match and look at like a corner on a wall and see if you're drifting left or right at all, or if you open up your mini map and you move your stick, and if it's still drifting more after you're done moving it, you need to obviously raise this number up until that is not a thing anymore. But stick drift, yeah, it's going to be entirely different for every single person. The left stick and right stick max input dead zone, I would never mess with that. It's adjusting how far the left stick or the right stick needs to be pushed to produce maximum movement. I just leave that as is. You can try and adjust that, but it's going to reset everything you know about how much you need to move your stick to look a certain way or walk forward a certain amount, right? So I don't ever mess with that. I wouldn't really recommend changing that either. Now, sensitivity is obviously a very big thing. And again, it's not necessarily something that there is a guaranteed best option for. Some players like a really high sensitivity, other players like a really low sensitivity. Always, though, when it comes down to it, I've said that medium sense, somewhere in there in the middle, is going to be your best bet, because it's going to allow you to be the most accurate over a wide variety of range, right? If you have a very high sense, unless you were just cracked out, you're going to be really good up close because you can flick and snap on enemies, but at a range where enemies are just like sometimes a small speck on your screen, it's going to be really hard to track them precisely because you're going to be moving so much with that higher sense. Vice versa, if you're using a low sensitivity, close range, you're not going to have the speed to track players who are sliding around you or jumping around you, but at a long range, it might be a little bit easier. So what's the best of both worlds there? Using that middle sense, I like to stagger mine a bit, so I go for a 10 horizontal and a 9 vertical. That to me just makes me a little bit more accurate when I'm, you know, trying to control recoil, because my sense is a little bit slower with its vertical movement, so it's a little bit easier to control that, but I can still look left to right very quickly, snap on enemies, but at a long range, I'm still accurate as well. Now, the ADS Sense Multiplier is also something I would recommend messing around with. Currently, I do have mine set on 1. This is something that I sort of wanted to reset with Caldera and see if I can mess around with at some point in time. Really, right now, I'm just trying to learn the map, learn the weapons, and see what I can sort of do on the map itself. But eventually, I want to sort of mess around with bumping this up to, say, 12, 11, and then jumping down to like a 0.8 let's say ADS sense, so that when I'm just looking around randomly, I can snap to players pretty easy and I can move around and look around quickly. But when I'm ADSing and I need to be accurate, I'm going to have that lower ADS sense, so my movement's not going to be as sporadic and it'll be a lot more accurate. So if you do play on a higher sense, that's also something that I feel like is worth looking into, because it can allow you to look around faster but still be very accurate while you're aiming down sights. For the custom sensitivity per zoom, again, if you want to mess around with this, you certainly can. This is not something that I've really ever gone through and actually turned on or messed around with, just because it's a lot of work to figure out what is going to work individually for a 2x versus a 6x versus an 8x. It's kind of a monotonous thing and a tedious thing to test, so I haven't messed with that. But if it's something you want to do, again, same premise as with the ADS Sense Multiplier. You can have a higher sense in general, but keep that ADS sense a little bit more specific. So that's not something that I feel like is 100% necessary, but if you want to be super accurate, it is something worth going in and messing around with. Aim response curve type, without a doubt, cannot recommend dynamic enough. Standard wouldn't really use ever. It's just going to feel very basic, whereas you can really get the best out of you. You're going to get the most effectiveness if you're using linear or dynamic, and dynamic seems to be the fan favorite and the most chosen amongst the best of the best players. Pretty much every single top pro is on dynamic. There are a few that are on linear. Linear is going to be the most one-to-one with how you're moving your stick and where you're looking in game, but dynamic just seems like it's the most consistent across close and long range, so I feel like that's the best to recommend there. I don't play with vibration, but if you want that, by all means, feel free to do so. Aim assist is a big one here when it comes to the actual way it's going to behave. Obviously, you don't want to disable it because that's just going to be way obnoxious to play with. Standard, though, is going to feel the most natural. It's still going to have the broken rotational aim assist, which is a big thing for a controller. It's very easy to sort of use and abuse. But then you look at things like precision and focusing, and they are very unnatural. I've tried using both of these in the past, and it just feels like it messes up your aim more than it's helping. It's really not something that I'd recommend to any normal player, any above average players. Standard is going to be the most consistent and the most natural feeling, while still giving you that extra slowdown you need in certain fights. So I'd keep it just on standard for that. Now, scaling aim assist with FOV is a weird one because, frankly, it doesn't feel like there's actually much of a difference. Having this disabled or enabled here, I've used it for both, and I really couldn't tell you if I had one or the other on in game. Technically, when you have it disabled, your aim assist box is supposed to be a little bit bigger, yet it doesn't really feel like it's any different, like I said. So you can definitely mess around with this if you want, but as far as I can tell, it really does not matter if you have this enabled or disabled. I've had it unenabled, I think, since Caldera launched, and it really doesn't seem like my aim assist works better or worse in any certain fight. It's broken in general, where it just stops working at times, or other times it's way too strong. So this one to me is not something that I feel like they have fully fine-tuned and working as intended. For my weapon mount, I use the ADS and melee. That's very basic. Weapon mount exit is enabled. Again, doesn't really matter too much. Aim down sight, steady aim, equipment, that's all hold. That's the usual stuff. This is a big one here. Your use and reload behavior. Contextual tap is a must-have. This is going to allow you to pick up weapons, loot quicker, and just make it easier. You're not going to be reloading when you want to pick up that ground loot rifle because yours is out of ammo. It's going to make it just way easier to loot, to interact with the world, and in general, it's going to cause less clunky gameplay. So contextual tap is a big thing specifically for Battle Royale. I would never use that in multiplayer because you're going to pick up weapons way too much, but for Warzone, it's pretty much a must-have. Depleted ammo weapon switch, I absolutely have off. I would hate to have my weapons switching automatically rather than me doing it, even if I run out of ammo. It just feels very unnatural and can mess you up. Armor plate behavior, this is a big one. Apply all is crucial here in my opinion, because rather than having to spam Y or spam triangle to put those plates on, you just hold it once and it's going to apply as many plates as you can. And if you need to stop, you can always interrupt that plate animation mid-game by sprinting, by Y-Ying, whatever the case may be. So you can get out of it if you need to, but it's just going to save you some button pushes and make your gameplay a bit more smooth. That's definitely a big one you want to focus on there. And then to round things out, we get to the movement, or as I like to call it, the smoothment, because you got to have the right settings here and you're going to absolutely finesse players left and right. So first up, slide behavior. Always want to have this on tap. It's going to make your slide canceling way easier, way more consistent. There is zero reason to have this on hold. Always have that on tap. Auto move forward, disable that. That's just weird. I'm not really sure why that would be used in any sort of, really strategic and advantageous ways. It'd more so just be used for players who don't want to have to always be pressing forward. Tac sprint, I don't actually change because I use auto tac sprint, and for that I always want to have that on ATS. I don't want to have disabled or automatic sprints. Having this on auto tac sprint and then having tap to slide is going to make it so that you can move as fast as possible and traverse the map as fast as possible in the smoothest ways possible, because every time you do that slide cancel, it's resetting your auto tack sprint. So anytime you're pressing forward, that's your first initial go-to. You'll be sprinting as much as possible. But then when you're slide canceling, it's also going to make it so that you don't have that insane sprint-to-fire always if you're in that sliding animation. So those two tethered together and sort of coinciding with one another, absolute game changers when it comes down to it, right? Vehicle camera recenter, I keep that on enabled. And then lastly, parachute auto deploy. This is another big one. You want to have this one disabled so that you can get as close to the ground as possible without being forced to pull your chute. Now, obviously, you got to be mindful of how close you are to the ground, otherwise you're going to die to fall damage. Not like I have ever done that. That's unrealistic when it comes down to it. But anybody who has this on enabled is going to be forced to pull their chute at a certain height, whereas you can keep diving down past them, get to the ground quicker, get to the loot quicker, the planes quicker, whatever the case may be. That's another big one you really want to focus on there. But with all that being said, those are the best controller settings. This is what I've been using for quite some time. A lot of the pros, minus some of those more personal preference-based ones, will be using pretty much the same exact stuff as we showcased here. So definitely is, messed around with in-game, experimented with in-game, and these are the end results and the best results from all the testing that's gone on. But that's going to wrap things up for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and hopefully it helped you out. If it did, let me know by dropping a like on it. It would be seriously appreciated. And of course, if you're new to the channel or if you have not already subscribed, this is the best place to be for everything going on in COD. Between news, updates, loadouts, tips, it's all right here every single day. So feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. But once again, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.